Have you ever walked into a room and instantly noticed how some people just command respect without saying a word? It's like their presence speaks louder than their voice. Meanwhile, others try too hard, over-explain themselves, or desperately seek approval, and end up being ignored. The truth is, respect isn't demanded. It's earned, and often in the most subtle ways. What if I told you there are simple psychological hacks, backed by human behavior and timeless Stoic wisdom, that can make people see you differently, treat you differently, and yes, respect you without you even asking for it? Today, we're diving into 7 powerful hacks that will help you earn respect everywhere you go. If you're serious about building unshakable confidence and creating a life where people naturally look up to you, make sure to stick around until the end. And if you find value in these insights, consider subscribing for more videos on psychology and Stoic self-mastery. You'll thank yourself later. Hack number 1. Master the power of silence. One of the most underrated psychological hacks for earning respect is knowing when not to speak. Think about it. Most people rush to fill silence because they're uncomfortable with it. They over-explain, overshare, and in the process, reveal weakness or insecurity. But when you can sit in silence confidently, you instantly separate yourself from the crowd. Silence communicates strength, control, and presence. It signals that you don't need to prove yourself or win approval. You're comfortable enough in who you are. For example, in a conversation, instead of rushing to defend every little point, try pausing. Let others speak. Let them explain, and then respond calmly and briefly. Psychologists call this the pause effect. People perceive you as more thoughtful, more intelligent, and more in control when you don't react immediately. And here's the interesting part. Those who remain composed in silence often make others feel slightly uneasy, which increases their respect for you. They start to weigh their words more carefully, knowing you're not the type to be easily swayed. This doesn't mean being cold or detached. It means using silence as a tool. Next time you're in a group, resist the urge to be the loudest voice. Instead, listen carefully, observe, and then speak with precision. Your words will carry far more weight because you're not just talking to fill space. You're talking with intention. Great leaders, negotiators, and thinkers have always understood this. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, often reminded himself to say only what is necessary and in the fewest words possible. That's not just philosophy, it's psychology. People respect those who don't waste words. So remember this. Silence is not weakness, it's a form of power. When you master it, you project confidence without arrogance. And the less you try to prove yourself, the more others will believe you're worth respecting. Hack number 2, speak less, say more. One of the most underrated psychological hacks to earn respect is mastering the art of restraint in your speech. Think about the most respected leaders, philosophers, or even the quietest person in the room who somehow commands everyone's attention. They don't need to be the loudest voice. Instead, they've trained themselves to speak less. But when they do speak, their words carry weight. This principle is deeply rooted in Stoicism, but psychology backs it up as well. People tend to attribute more authority and wisdom to someone who doesn't waste words. When you speak too much, especially to fill silence, you unconsciously show others that you're nervous, seeking validation, or desperate to be liked. On the other hand, when you deliberately pause before responding, or cut out unnecessary chatter, people pay closer attention. They begin to lean in, waiting for what you'll say next, because they know it will be intentional. Silence creates anticipation, and anticipation creates respect. But speaking less doesn't mean being cold, distant, or withholding. It means being precise. Share your thoughts clearly and directly. Use strong, simple language instead of fluff. For example, instead of saying, "Well, maybe I think that's sort of a good idea, but I'm not completely sure yet," you could simply say, That's a good idea. Let's test it. Notice the difference? The second version projects confidence and decisiveness, which automatically earns respect. Here's a practical exercise. The next time you're in a conversation, try waiting 2 full seconds before replying. This pause not only gives you time to think, but also signals to the other person that you're measured and thoughtful. Over time, this habit makes people view you as someone who is calm under pressure, not someone who reacts emotionally. Respect often has less to do with how much you know and more to do with how you present yourself. By speaking less and saying more, you transform every word into a tool of influence. Hack number 3. The power of intentional silence. One of the most underrated psychological hacks to command respect is strategic silence. Most people feel an almost uncontrollable urge to fill every quiet moment with words. They ramble, over-explain, or nervously laugh just to avoid silence. But here's the thing, silence is power. When you control silence instead of fearing it, you instantly shift the dynamic in your favor. Psychologists call this the pause effect. Humans are wired to seek closure in conversations, so when you deliberately pause before responding, it makes people lean in, hang on your words, and subconsciously assume what you have to say carries weight. Imagine this. You're in a meeting or even just a casual debate with friends. Someone challenges your idea, and instead of firing back instantly, you pause, take a breath, and then respond calmly. That pause alone communicates confidence, self-control, and authority. People who respect silence signal that they don't need to beg for approval. They already have it. On the other hand, those who talk too much without purpose often come across as insecure or desperate for attention. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." This applies perfectly here. Intentional silence gives you control over the emotional tone of any interaction. It keeps you from reacting impulsively and allows you to respond thoughtfully, making others respect your discipline. So how can you practice this? Try a simple exercise. In your next conversation, before answering, count 1, 2 in your head. Even that short pause will make your response sound more deliberate and thoughtful. Over time, you'll notice people not only listen more attentively, but also value your words more because you don't waste them. Silence doesn't mean weakness, it means mastery. Respect follows those who don't rush to prove themselves, but instead let their presence speak before their words do. Hack number 4. Master the power of silence. Silence is one of the most powerful tools you can use to command respect. Yet it's often overlooked because people assume respect comes from talking, persuading, or proving themselves. The truth is, silence creates an aura of self-control. It signals that you are not desperate to be heard or validated. And this alone can make others pay closer attention when you do decide to speak. Think about it. The people who are constantly interrupting, over-explaining, or rushing to fill every gap in conversation often come across as insecure. On the other hand, the person who pauses, listens, and lets silence breathe instantly seems more confident and composed. In psychological terms, silence shifts the power dynamic. When you don't rush to answer every question or respond to every provocation, you show that you're in control of your emotions. You're not being dragged into someone else's pace. You're setting your own. Leaders, negotiators, and wise thinkers throughout history have used silence as a weapon. Marcus Aurelius himself often reminded that restraint in speech was a mark of wisdom, because words once spoken can never be taken back. Silence, however, cannot be misquoted. Here's the hack in action. When someone challenges you or tries to provoke you, don't react instantly. Pause. Let the silence hang for a few seconds. Watch how it unsettles them, because people expect quick, defensive reactions. By staying calm and silent, you subtly take the upper hand. Similarly, when you're in a conversation, instead of racing to speak, Use silence to listen deeply. People feel more respected when you give them your full attention, and in return, they respect you more. Respect often grows not from the noise we make, but from the discipline we show. Silence, when used with purpose, is not weakness, it's influence. Hack number 5. Use people's names, the sweetest sound. If there's one simple yet powerful way to earn instant respect, it's this. Use people's names when you talk to them. It might sound small, but psychology proves otherwise. Dale Carnegie, author of How to Win Friends and Influence People, famously said, "A person's name is to that person the sweetest sound in any language." And he was right. Our brains are wired to respond positively when someone remembers our name. It makes us feel seen, valued, and significant. Think about it. Have you ever walked into a cafe where the barista remembers your name? Or maybe a teacher, manager, or even a friend casually drops your name in a conversation? You probably felt a warm sense of recognition, almost like you mattered more in that moment. Now flip it. Imagine when someone forgets your name after you've introduced yourself 3 times. You instantly feel overlooked, maybe even disrespected. This hack isn't just about memorization, it's about connection. When you use someone's name naturally, it communicates. I see you. I value you. You're important enough to remember. And people respect those who make them feel respected first. The best part? This is incredibly easy to practice. When someone introduces themselves, repeat their name back to them immediately. "Nice to meet you, Sarah." That small act helps lock it into memory. Then, sprinkle it casually throughout the conversation. Not too much or it'll feel forced, but just enough to create warmth and familiarity. For example, "That's a great point, Sarah." Or, "I see what you mean, Sarah." The result? You'll notice people lean in more when you speak, listen more closely, and treat you with a subtle layer of respect that others may not get. Because while most people are busy thinking of what to say next, you'll stand out simply by giving them the recognition they deeply crave. Respect isn't demanded, it's cultivated. And sometimes, it starts with something as small as remembering a name. Hack number 6. Stand tall and own your presence. Respect often begins before a single word is spoken. People make subconscious judgments within seconds of meeting you, and one of the most powerful psychological hacks to earn respect lies in how you carry yourself. Your posture, body language, and physical presence speak louder than your words, and when you learn to stand tall and own your space, you project confidence, authority, and inner strength, qualities people instinctively respect. Think about the difference between someone who slouches, avoids eye contact, and fidgets nervously, versus someone who walks into a room with their shoulders back, chin slightly raised, and movements steady and deliberate. The first person unintentionally signals insecurity, while the second silently communicates leadership and composure. This is not about arrogance. It's about showing through your body that you value yourself, and therefore, others should too. Psychologists call this embodied cognition. The idea that the way you move and position yourself actually influences how you feel and how others perceive you. By simply practicing good posture, maintaining calm gestures, and speaking with a clear voice, you not only create an impression of confidence, but also trick your brain into feeling more confident. It's a feedback loop that reinforces your presence in any setting. Here's a simple exercise. Next time you're about to enter a meeting, social gathering, or even just a conversation, pause for 30 seconds. Plant your feet firmly on the ground, straighten your back, breathe deeply, and remind yourself that you belong in that space. When you walk in, don't rush. Move with intention. People will notice, even if they can't explain why, and they'll naturally feel drawn to listen and respect you. Respect doesn't always come from speaking the loudest or being the most dominant voice in the room. Often, it begins with your silent presence, the way you stand, the calmness you exude, and the confidence you project without saying a single word. Hack number 7. Stand by your principles. One of the most powerful psychological hacks to earn lasting respect isn't about how you talk, dress, or behave. It's about what you stand for. People naturally respect those who live by a clear set of values and don't compromise them for approval, convenience, or temporary gain. When others see that your actions align with your words, that your choices reflect deeper principles rather than fleeting emotions, you instantly separate yourself from the crowd. Most people bend their values at the slightest pressure. The ones who refuse to do so, those who remain anchored, become pillars that others admire and trust. Think about it. If you always change your stance depending on who's watching or what's popular, people may like you, but they won't respect you. Respect comes when others see consistency and strength of character, even when it's not easy. For example, if honesty is your principle, being truthful even when a lie could save you embarrassment sends a powerful signal. If discipline is your principle, sticking to your commitments despite distractions or criticism makes people realize you're someone they can rely on. Standing by your principles doesn't mean being rigid or stubborn for no reason. It means knowing your non-negotiables, the lines you won't cross no matter what. And when you communicate those values through your behavior, people don't just respect you, they trust you. They know where you stand, and that reliability is rare in a world full of inconsistency.